Let's do this. Let's go live. Can you see and hear me? Ever since my silent live 6 weeks ago, I've been paranoid over this. I removed all microphones. So hopefully you can see me and hear me, because today we're talking self-sabotage. How to stop it, how to stop self-sabotaging your love life, your dating, how to stop pushing the right men away, and how to, if you've had an avoidant dating pattern. We talk a lot about anxious patterns on this channel, but not as much about avoidant. So how to, if you've had an avoidant pattern in the past, I'm going to give you one simple trick to smash it and to make real love connections in your life with quality guys. How you doing? How you doing? It's great to be on here. Denise says hello. Denise is first in. Amira is on here. Zia's on here. K-Wall says you should just be my boyfriend. Too easy. Let's just do it. Medina says hi. Isabel, Miss Amadil, Jess is online. Hey, we're talking self-sabotage. Why do we do it? I'm going to give you something really, really simple that I had to learn the hard way to stop this. So I'm going to tell you a little story to reflect how I had to realize this. And when you get it, you're just going to be like, that's so freaking obvious. That makes so much sense. Why was I so avoidant that whole time? Jeanette's online from California. Rebecca's, I want to say hi to everyone. Iris is on the line, says, whoop. Misty, hopefully you can see me. The background's a bit spastic, I realize. BM from Arlington says, hey. Angelica's online. Morgan's online. It's great to have you. Thank you for your videos, Mark. Cindy's online. How have you been enjoying the recent content? What did you think of some of the big videos lately? We obviously had one, a dating coach gets ghosted. I'll reflect a little bit of that today. We had EJ's video published this morning. We had the one about what happens when reciprocation goes too far, when a guy moves too fast. It's been some good ones. I got some fun stuff coming out for you, some very cool stuff. So I'm excited to show you what I have next. And we're almost at the finale of the Who Will Join the Channel series. That's going to be cool. Don't forget you can get free stuff as well. There's free stuff in the description. If you head to http://bit.ly/make him yours text, there's a free texting guide there you can grab. Hey, when I was going out and trying to beat my own social anxiety, I had to learn a very tough lesson about self-sabotage. Now, if you're on last week, you will have heard sort of towards the end of that story, I finally got my stuff together and started taking action, started celebrating action, started going out to get over this huge amount of social anxiety I had. And at first, the only thing I had was these lines, right? I like had these lines. I'm like, okay, got to remember this thing to say. Horrible. And the only way I was confident to even walk outside was like, all right, I need something. Someone needs to tell me what to say to women because I'm terrible at this. So I'm out there using these lines, and as you can imagine, it's not going all that well. But something interesting started to happen was that people started opening up a bit to me and like wanting me to have them in their groups, because these things, and what I realized later was these lines were all like exciting. They were how to tell a story well, how to sort of intrigue people with your personality. So weirdly, people started wanting me in their groups. And people started wanting, like, hey, Mark, like, come join out. I'm like, what is this? I've been myself for like 21 years, and like no one seemed to, especially at school afterwards, no one wanted me to be there at a party. No one wanted me to be at a group. And finally, I go out using some lines with a bit of practice. I'm suddenly like almost like popular, if that's a thing. I'm like, what? How is it that when I be myself, no one wants to talk to me when I use these lines? Like, what? And so eventually I went home and I figured out what was actually going on, which was the underlying communication. It wasn't the lines as we know, it was what it says underneath, right? How you say something is far more important than what you say. So I realized at that point, all I had to do was be myself with a better sub-communication, and the floodgates open. So I'm out after about 4 or 5 months of going out to meet people, really pushing my comfort zone. I'd started, after this is hundreds of rejections, started to get into my own authentic confidence. And I approached this table of 5 people. And I just sit down and I say, hey guys, sorry I'm late. None of them knew me. And you either get two reactions when you do that. People either look at you like, who the F are you? Or they burst out laughing. Unfortunately, in this case, I had reaction two. And the woman there, I think maybe it was her brother, said, hey, you got to meet my sister. So the sister walks back. Her name was Hannah. And Hannah was beautiful, like incredible, kind of like short brunette hair and just had a great energy about her, super empathic. And so long story short, me and Hannah, we get along. And I go on what was basically the first proper date of my life with Hannah. Like the first like actual proper date with a girl who liked me and I liked her back. And like actually clicking and like we're wanting to, it was the first time I'd ever done that in my life at 21, 22 years of age. And things go well. Things go well. We actually, we get along really well. We end up sleeping together and then we start to date. I'm like, yes, this is great. And then I realized something. I have absolutely no idea what to do next. Like none. I'm like, shit, I only read the lines. How do you keep the girl? We like go in a dancing salsa class and we're like having real dates and going out at night. And it was the first time in my life I ever felt like someone I wanted actually like wanted me back. It was just, I'll never forget it. Hannah will always hold a special place in my heart because that was the first time I'd ever felt that. And so we go on this dating for 6 or 8 weeks and I'm starting to really like her and I think she's liking me too. And she invites me to her birthday drinks with her friends. Now, at this point, I hadn't met her friends, right? So this was like a big thing. And I'm like, yes, this is going great. But then I realized that I had to use lines originally, like when I first started. So I'm like, oh shit, I didn't read past this point of the book. Right, so I scroll a few pages down. I've gone, get the girl. Okay, now I need to get to keep the girl. What the hell do I do here? So I'm like, okay, don't be too available. Right, okay. Don't, be busy. Right, all right. Don't act too interested. Like, oh shit, I'm acting interested. What have I done? She's going to lose interest. This is what's going through my head at the time. So I decided to, in my infinite wisdom, I thought, I know what I need to do here. She will like me more if I can't come to her birthday drinks. This is my logic at the time. So I tell her I'm busy, which I ended up like finding something else to do, but I really wasn't. Tell her I'm busy, got to hang with friends, very busy, nightclubbing life, all the things. And she's pretty devil about it, but I'm like, that's okay. Like, I'll see her later and, she'll like me more. And then I don't hear from her for a bit. And I'm like, damn, she must think I'm too into her. So I'm like, oh, I must need to pull back a little more. That'll get her more interested. What the book says, don't be too interested. So I pull back more. And what do you reckon happens? She pulls back more. And then she basically, I realize that something is really wrong. And I will get to comments, I promise. I realize something's really wrong, right? She is losing interest and something I'm not doing. I'm doing something wrong, right? I'm playing the game wrong. And finally I get onto her to talk to her because she doesn't even like want to come to dancing anymore. I'm like, something's wrong. And she says to me, hey, Mark, I actually, when you couldn't come to my birthday drinks, I last minute invited this guy I met at the Plough Inn. And he came along, dropped me off and, picked me up afterwards. And he was really lovely. And we've actually started talking and getting along really well. And I think I probably just want to now. And I was like, fuck, that was the first time the penny dropped for me that I'd been the avoidant one. Right? Like that was That was the first time I realized that she wasn't pulling away because she thought I was too interested. She was pulling away because she thought I wasn't interested enough. Hit the like button, by the way, if you're enjoying the story. It helps it get shared around. Plus, I appreciate it. And this is literally the first time, and I tried. I was like, no, like you got me all wrong. I want to work on this. And she's like, nah, I think I want to follow it up with this guy. So we ended up having, of all things, like this goodbye lunch date thing that I thought was a great idea, but ended up being so weird. Who would have thought? And that was pretty much the last time, actually. I think me and Hannah texted once that Christmas, but even to this day, that was the last time I ever heard from Hannah. Very, very grateful for that whole situation. But as you can imagine, quite regretful for the following 6 months and beyond. I'd lost a great girl. She was, I think this is cool. Those two, as in the bloke she met at the plow-in, I'm pretty sure they're now married. I'm pretty sure they're married. So that's a really beautiful end to the story. But I was thinking about this situation afterwards, and I realized something. I had been rejected, not for being myself, but I got this weird, inauthentic rejection that had come from self-sabotage. And this is when the penny truly dropped for me about rejection and about what is really safe and what is not. Because I spent this whole time trying to keep Hannah into me, worried that I'd be rejected, and ironically, ended up getting rejected for it without even having authenticity over it, being able to tell her that I liked her. So that was when it hit me. Rejection itself is not bad. In fact, rejection could even be perceived as safe. But you must be rejected for the right reasons. And I had been rejected for all the wrong reasons, and we do this all the time. If we're more avoidant, if we're self-sabotaging, we end up getting ourselves rejected, right? Post in the comments, have you been through this? Have you been rejected because you were the one who was pulling away and the other person just sensed this wall? And I learned this lesson that if you've watched the future video about me getting ghosted, I was finally able to properly apply. That is, if you're getting authentically rejected, you are on the path to safety. You're on the path to great relationships. You're on the path to real connections. That is the safe type of rejection, right? But I'd been so wrapped up in protecting myself, i.e. keeping myself what I thought was safe, I ended up putting myself in more danger. If you look back over any time you've self-sabotaged, and I realize this, you will always see that something either in your upbringing or in a previous experience wants to keep you safe. At the very base of our brainstem, worms have this. At the very base of our brainstem is the most subconscious program, the most, like every other signal has to pass through this program, which is this safe or is it not? Because if we're not safe, everything else drops as a priority. The problem is sometimes what we're trained to think is safe doesn't always actually become what helps us, right? What helps us stay safe. I thought pulling back from Hannah would keep me safe. All she wanted was for me to go closer to her. So my perception of safety and what was actually safety, two very different things. So if you're finding self-sabotage is going on and you can relate to my own story of pulling back from it, it is because what you think is probably safe to do up here and what your system thinks is safe are two different things. Years later, you may have seen this if you watched that video about Elle. Years later, this is probably not too long ago now, I met Elle. And if you've seen the video, I won't go through the full story, but you'll see that I met Elle in a nightclub. We spent a great night together and started dating, unfortunately, somewhat long distance. And I'm real into her, but I'm keeping it fairly calibrated. I'm like showing my interest. Hey, I want to call you. Hey, I want to see you, making it very, very clear. And was getting a weird vibe over text message, like that kind of avoidant person where you're like, in person, they're perfect, but they're weird over text. Who can relate? Have you guys, can you relate to that? Preach. Yeah. You can preach, right? Panama says, yeah, if you can relate to that. You're like, I like you, and the person seems to be perfect in person. And I remembered Hannah because the instinct there, the instinct for me to think, wait a minute, what is safe? What does my programming say is safe? Oh, pull back. You won't get rejected if you pull back. And I caught it. With Elle, I caught it. And if you know the story, Elle ended up disappearing. That video was filmed a little while ago, published a little less while ago, but even today, I still have no idea what the hell happened to Elle or why she ghosted. But the difference was this time, I let myself get rejected. I got authentic, real rejection. And it was so much better and so much more harmonizing and so much more real because now I didn't have a single regret. There was no self-sabotage whatsoever. I'd gone from Hannah, self-sabotage, pulling away to what I perceived as a place of safety, to Elle, investing, moving forward at a normal rate, and then she decided with her actions that I wasn't right for her. So I had no regrets, which is the most beautiful space to walk away in. So from this, I want you to take one central story. And if I'm working with you as a client, here's what I do. Authentic rejection is linked with safety. This is completely opposite to what we're trained. This is completely opposite to how we usually think. But if you can get authentically rejected in your subconscious, authentic rejection connected with that safety, you will never self-sabotage again. You'll never play avoidant again. You'll never push great people away again. Because once you realize that authentic rejection, hey, when I'm authentic, I feel more real in my boundaries. So I attract better people to my life. I have better friends who want to know me more. I feel more secure within myself. That leads to more money. That leads to better minds around me. That leads to more confidence. That leads to better men. That leads to me feeling even better again. That leads to better boundaries, better relationships, da 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 da. When you really hook those two up and you realize that if you're getting authentically rejected for the right reasons, that is the other person just wasn't vibing it, they weren't in the headspace like Elle, then you are on track to not only never self-sabotaging again, but a fantastic, fulfilling relationship. Oh, I love that. I love that so much. Little example, a friend of mine came around the other day and she was asking me for dating advice. My friends, bless them, often listen, but don't invest in the advice I give them, which is typical of someone who either hasn't invested the time or hasn't invested the money. Little tip from me, just on a side note, have a coach. Even if it's not me, have a coach. I don't care who it is. Go hire anyone. But have a coach because then you are investing money and time into here instead of out there where everyone else invests it. A friend of mine comes around and she says, Mark, I need your advice. I'm like, here we go. I'm about to give some advice she's not going to listen to, but sure. She says, I've been seeing this guy for a little bit and he is a Mormon. I was like, okay. She says, you know me, I'm very like sexually liberal. I'm very open. Like I have an issue sleeping with people. She says, but I've been dialing myself back for this guy. And I said, okay. And she said, yeah, I've really dialed back because I think he would like that more. But now he's pulling away and I'm not sure if I've dialed back too much and like I need to like dial back myself further or if I need to like dial back less and be more out there, more myself. You can imagine I'm doing these ones in my head. And really when it came down to it, she told me the rest of the story. He hadn't texted in a week. He'd already pulled away. She'd already lost the guy. But the problem was she'd lost him through inauthentic rejection. So she has all these doubts now because she dialed herself back and her vibrant personality, even her sexual nature back so much. She's like, I have no idea if I got rejected because he actually wasn't vibing it or because I was not myself. Inauthentic rejection is a mess and it actually erodes your confidence. Plus, it leaves you with a lot of regret, like it did with Hannah. If she had just been herself and been associated safety with a clean rejection, she's just like, I'm going to be myself. If this Mormon guy doesn't like it, cool, man. And then he says he doesn't like it. Even though it hurts a little more, she's actually, no regrets, no self-sabotage. So always remember, authentic rejection. Here, I even wrote it down. Authentic rejection and safety go together. Let's read some comments. Sarah says, sorry for the cap lock. Sarah says, so true, because back in the day that would have hurt us because the tribe would have rejected us. Exactly. And same with parents. A lot of this is parental programming. Hey, don't forget your free guide as well. The texting guide is absolutely free. I'll put the link here, https://bit.ly/make him yours text. And if you are interested in coming on board with the coaching call, I'm 90 minutes. I'm going on the Empowerment Academy straight after this in 40 minutes time. makehimyours.com.au/academy. I just added $500 worth of new bonuses into the academy. So if you want to join me for that coaching call, you can do that. Oh, what a great day. Christine, you're handsome. Oh, that's a lovely compliment. Thank you. Angelica says, yay. Thank you, Mark. Sarah says, great job as always. Flor says, loving the webinars. Melissa says, why men play so much mind games? Well, there's a lot of reasons depending on what's going on, Melissa, and I'm going to do a video on the way men kind of do this, but it comes essentially from a place of fear. There is some sort of emotional, whether it's a fear of going out of his emotional comfort zone or a fear of abandonment or a fear of you rejecting him, that the games are played by people with fear. And that's why you need to check in on your own fears and associate the thing you want to do with safety. In how many ways does being authentically rejected make me safe in my life? Oh, wow. Each time I get authentically rejected, it's feeling great. Or even if there is that little sting, straight away your brain's like, nope, you're on the safest path in your life right now because you got authentically rejected. That's the way to think. Illuminated says, thanks, Mark. My pleasure. Is there any questions here? You guys are super, super lovely. It's mostly compliments. Can you sometimes care too much for your own good? Yeah, I guess that would be extreme narcissism, Cindy, if you're only focused on yourself. There's always that balance. If you're too narcissistic, you'll only care for yourself. If you're too empathic, you'll put others consistently above yourself. It's why there's no perfect answer, right? It's why this will always be something we'll have to learn, is because you've got to have that nice midpoint that's always being refined between your own boundaries and serving others. For example, with me, I'll give you an example in my own life. Instagram, I get so many messages and I was really feeling horrible about not being able to respond to each and every one of them, which sucks. Like, someone's taken the time to message me. Like, there's probably a couple in there now. Someone's, taking the time to write a message, reaching out for help. And then I either can't respond to them or takes a long time. I was feeling awful about that. But to respond to all of them would mean that I would have to basically overwhelm myself, which would be a violation of my own boundaries. So I have to find that balance between being able to serve as many people as I can and taking care of my own self as well. So we've all got this in all areas of our lives. Let's have a look. Questions? Oh, there are some. Oh, wow. Oh, thank you for the questions. Anna G says, I've found that the older I have gotten, the faster I push potential lovers away. Now I have an extremely hard time even accepting a date. That stuck fear and that stuck emotions builds up over time, right? It's like how we develop physical scars. You bump your hand. I did that when I was 3. I had surgery 4 months ago when this cat bit me, so now I have scars here. The calluses from training for years, scars build up, right? And if you don't fully heal them, they will continue to, a scar results in pain every time you touch it. The more scars you have, the more painful you are everywhere. And emotionally speaking, it's the same thing. And this is why it's so important to delve back into yourself, what is safe, and getting aligned with, okay, I'm going to be all right. I'm going to go out. I'm going to celebrate action. Hashtag celebrate action, the theme of the Empowerment Academy. I'm action, get into action-based groupthink, heal my energies, remove my wounds, transform my patterns, all the stuff I work on with clients. Destiny says, this video is right on time. I keep sabotaging myself. How do I bounce back? He keeps texting and engaging, but I feel like, he's like, oh gosh, this is just her. Safety, the action you want to take. Link them up, Destiny. So if you're getting fear when he is texting you and I see this all the time. I say, oh, the guy texted you, just text him back? She says, nah. I said, how long's it been? She says, 2 days. Of course he thinks you're not interested. You didn't text back for 2 days. I assume anyone's not interested who doesn't, because they obviously don't care. They do, but they're scared. Right, but that's how it feels as the guy. So you've got to go, okay, well, if I text him back and get authentic rejection for it, how does that make my life safer? How does that make me emotionally safer? And I'm telling you this now, but you've really got to sit down for half an hour, and really just answer that question to really ingrain it. Because it's all instinctual otherwise. Your brain just goes, what? Rejection? Danger, run. And between your brain and your arm of texting him back comes the safety center, right? Hey, you should text him. Wait, it's unsafe. Hey, you should text him. Wait, it's unsafe. Hey, you should text him. Oh, that is safe. Texting him. Whoop. The safety line, the safety gateway has been established. Make sense? Tonya says, I appreciate you doing this for free. I can't afford your seminars, but let's watch you all the time. My pleasure, Tonya. I think it's really important to give back to the community that's been so beautiful to me. I try to communicate with my partner, but sorry, someone else's weird comment jumped up there. I try to communicate with my partner, but he fights back with me saying I'm only negative and brag about everything. I sometimes don't know how to act. Z, it sounds like you're triggering each other pretty badly there. Remember, it always takes two. You can always play your role and work through your own triggers. And then if you're not being triggered, I guarantee that he's not going to escalate either. I just don't have, it's very, very rare I have people in my life that get triggered angry at me because I'm very hard to trigger. I remember this story. How's this? I remember at my old place, I was driving home and I did a U-turn in the street so that I could park. So I did a U-turn in the street. Instead of, I think it was a right turn, I did a U-turn instead, which is, I don't know if it may be illegal. But anyway, I did this U-turn and I pull up my car about 30 meters up the road. And I'm sitting there, I think, shutting the car down, checking my phone. And the four-wheel drive that was behind me pulls up next to me in the middle of the road and just stops. He's in the middle of the road. I'm like, oh, this isn't good. So I have an instant moment where I've got to either get out of the car now and go to fight or flight, or stay in the car and just see what happens. And I decide to stay in the car. And I say, I can either block him out or I can open the window. You might argue this is stupid, but at the time, my instincts told me just open the window. I open the window. This guy comes out of this four-wheel drive in a hoodie, right? This dark hoodie, gaunt features, walks around his car, leans over my window and starts swearing his head off at me. What the F was that, mate? You effing idiot, you stupid C. I'm going to F you up. What were you thinking? You turned there. What do you effing got to say for yourself? And he leans over. So I've got a low car, right? So I'm looking up at him through this window. He's leaned over. Looks like he's on some kind of drugs. And he leans over in my window and just waiting for my response. And I'm like, all right, I got to keep this chill. So I look at him, look at the car, look back, look at him again. And at this point, even after a few seconds, I can see he's like, this wasn't going the way I expected. And I look up at him and I say, you know what? You're right. I took an illegal U-turn there. I apologize for that. I wouldn't have been so close to my car if I was you, but I can acknowledge that I made an illegal U-turn. Just looked him straight in the eyes, didn't raise my hands, didn't raise my voice, just said, I apologize, I made an illegal U-turn, you're right. And he sort of stops and just like, huh? And this guy was on that. This guy was, and he just stops, thinks, goes silent. Then he leans in, puts out his hand, and I shake it, and he says, bro, I'm so sorry. I've had a really bad day, and you didn't deserve that. And I'm really sorry, man. That wasn't me at all. I'm so sorry, bro. You have a great day. Shaking my hand. You have a good one, man. Steps out, walks around to his door, gets back in the car and drives away. And I'm like, what just happened? This guy was ready to knife me, and he was profusely apologizing about 30 seconds later. And I'm sure you could argue that winding down the window was stupid, whatever. It's done now. That's what my instincts told me to do. But the point is, going back to Z's question, if you cannot be triggered, the vast majority of time, the other person cannot be triggered either. Whoever has the stronger frame will draw the other into their frame. If you have a calm, non-triggered frame, you will draw that other person in. Other questions? What do we got? Other questions before I jump off. Mark, does that make sense, by the way? Did you enjoy that story? I'm still getting my head around trying to tell a decent story. So let me know if that kind of highlighted the point for you. Flora says, why some of us might be tempted to follow or fall the bad guys and the nice, not so good looking guys might not be of interest. Two things. Number one, that's just the pattern you learned growing up. And number two, just goes back to safety, right? What does a strong, asshole-ish guy have going for him? Well, first of all, you know he's not going to bend much, right? You know if life fires up, he's going to punch back. So you go, well, he might not be great, but he's safe. And the very first level of your brain that needs satisfaction is the safety center. I should date nice guys, but they're not safe. I should date nice guys, but they're not safe. Now, I'm not saying go and date a nice guy. I'm just saying that whatever you perceive as safe, which is a major function of your upbringing, will be your default. So if what you're attracting is not working for you, you need to maybe do a bit of a shift around what is safe and really ingrain, because the safety gateway, it checks everything. It's like the security at the front of the Pentagon. Like, ain't nobody walking through there without that gateway checked. Questions. Other questions, what do we got? Mark, your advice has helped me heal from a bad experience. We've got about 5 minutes, guys. Join me in the Empowerment Academy afterwards. If you're interested in coming on board, I'm going to be on the live call in 28 minutes time, makingmeals.com.au/academy. Thank you for the bottom of my heart for just coming online and having a listen. Hey, you guys are amazing. Mark, your advice has helped me heal from a bad experience. My eyes are wide open now. I understand what's happened now. So glad it's over. I know that I'm healed because I don't look back. Boom. Love it, Karen. Mark, do you see my message? I see that one. Tiffany says, nice work. Makes a lot of sense. Really needed this advice today. Melissa says, what does it mean when a man says he loves me, but then he says, let's just be friends a few days later and he would like to text me every day? Means he's being erratic, which means he's in some sort of emotional space he is not comfortable with. Let me give you an example. Okay, this is going to be a very, very advanced diagram here. Erratic behavior. Okay, I'm going to talk about this in my new book. Erratic behavior. Here is emotions, right? An emotional range. This is man's range, right? Hopefully you can see this. Here is the extremes of emotion. Now, if you're really good at handling your emotions, your range will be wider. Right, so the average woman's emotional range that she can experience will be wider than the average man's. As long as we're in here, we exhibit fairly normal behavior, predictable, normal. But as soon as some sort of situation pushes us, man or woman, into our emotional red range, you will see erratic, stupid behavior, right? So suddenly, this guy, something happens, and if the pen works, he goes up here, you'll see like, ka-dunk. Right, you see this weird, and then he's like fine for a while again, and then it's like ka-dunk, ka-dunk, ka-dunk. And you go from this like smooth, you can't really see that because the pen's not writing, sorry. But you basically go from nice, smooth behavior and then ka-tunk, ka-tunk. What is he doing? What? Well, he's all right again. Ka-tunk. That's why you see erratic behavior. Hi, Mark. How to keep a positive about a long distance relationship with a soldier overseas? That completely depends on the vibe of your relationship. If you have a shit relationship and he's not communicating, it's probably not something you should be positive about, if that makes sense. But if you think things are going well and you're just carrying your own insecurities through, then there's the video on long distance. Watch that one. Fill up your life. Be the prize in your life, and he's going to be the one worrying about you. Z says, hi, you're awesome. Wish I was in France, Tiffany. I am coming near France later this year. I don't think I'm going to France. Oh my God, thank you, Drunk. I love examples like this. Iris says, how can I learn to focus on the good thing we have and not worry about the future? Iris, something as simple as a gratitude journal can be really helpful with that. And I have a lot of clients just do that every night. What are all the things you have? I have running water. I have plants in my house. I have a beautiful bench. I have a supermarket I can buy food from. You do that every night, it starts to become habitual. It starts to become the way you think. Oh, look at the beautiful floor I have. Look, it's not wet. Oh, look at the beautiful trees outside. Look at everything that I have. Worry for the future. That depends on what you're worrying about, but there will certainly be, whatever you're worried about, there will be a way to become more, like, you will be fine regardless. Because worry, again, lack of safety. Something's going to go wrong. I'm going to be unsafe. If you are truly present, it's because you feel safe, right? Give you an example, women's orgasm. Right? Do you ever see a woman orgasm when she doesn't feel safe? It's insane to even think about. Right? When someone is truly safe, then they can be more present. And this is why to even be sexually turned on, you need to first feel safe. You know what I mean? So if you're finding that you're leaving the present a lot, it's because there's perceived threats there, perceived lack of safety. You've got to work through whatever that threat is, figure out why you are actually safe right where you are, and you'll be like, hey, happy days, life is great, I'm in the moment, because you're totally safe. It's also the key to being more feminine, as EJ talked a bit about this morning. What else we got? We got 2 minutes. Last couple of questions. Gratitude. You're right. Focus on what you have not. Stacey says, Mark, been dating a guy for 2 months, said he didn't know when I hinted at exclusivity. Told him I'd give him the space to figure out what he needs and date others. Now he reaches out to me randomly. Why? Because the distance has been recreated. Now, I'm not sure if this guy is a secure attachment style and he just perhaps wasn't that into you or misses you now because another girl fell through, or if he's actually an avoidant attachment style and he only likes women who are like away from him and leaning away. So he's like, if you're here, avoidant guys like, no, thank you. But then you're here, avoidant guys like, yes, please. Oh, I like you again. No, thank you. I'm here. Yes, please. So I can't tell if he's what he is with that. What I can say is that have the conversation that me and Jamia do in the video. Hey, it's your choice. It's always up to you. If you want to do this, great. If you don't, great. I've got lots of options. You're going to crush it. What do you think about people's fear of abandonment? I think it's horrible, very common, and something you can work through to have great relationships in the future. Kazumi says the orgasm is not a good analogy because there will be women who orgasm out of violence due to adrenaline. I didn't know that. Really? There you go. I did not know that. Let's show you support by hitting the like button. Yep, hit the like button. We've got a couple of minutes left. Hey, Robin, I'm in Coconut Creek, says Denise. Any other questions? No, we're pretty happy there, I think. Oh, Mandy says, so my boyfriend recently got diagnosed with depression. He broke up with me, then came back because I kept trying to be supportive. He broke up with me, then came back because I kept trying to be supportive. But now I'm always scared he's going to leave. Mandy, has he worked through it? That's probably one I need to delve in deeper with you. It comes down to, look, you've been triggered now by that past event, which is totally understandable and reasonable. So if you are finding yourself at a place of insecurity within that relationship, you either need to heal the past event, or you will need to heal the past event and essentially start a new relationship. And then tell the difference between your instincts and your insecurities. Because if it's your instincts that are saying he's actually being avoidant, then That's probably something you need to know. Hey, you're amazing. Thank you for coming online. It has been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to head over to the Empowerment Academy and get on the live stream. If you want to join me, I'll be there for 90 minutes on the Q&A call. You can come say hi via makingyours.com.au/academy. And no matter what you do, celebrate action. Celebrate action. That is the theme of life. That is the theme of the Academy. Remember this to finish. What did we say before? Authentic rejection is safety. If you want to stop self-sabotaging, figure out the way you can get authentically rejected and then link it to safety. Realize that that's actually the safe way you want to take your life is like via the bus stop of authentic rejection. And you'll be happy to walk through there because you'll know that that is really how I create all the safety in the world in my life. Not by doing what I did with Hannah and pulling back for some sort of inauthentic false safety. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming online. You're amazing. I will see you next month at the same time. First Friday of the month, I will be live on the 5th in Australian time, 4th in US time, and somewhere in between in London time. You're amazing. Don't forget it. Empower yourself through growth, self-esteem, and authenticity. Hit the like button, and I'll see you soon.